What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Danny the Bull, back with a live stream. A lot of volatility in the market today. Bitcoin was over 100,000 and got knocked back down. We'll talk about why that happened, outlook, the foreseeable future. And one of the most important things I think to talk about is planning an exit strategy. It's something that I'm asked about a lot. When do you sell? How do you sell? What are the strategies? So I've if you've been watching my streams lately, I've been looking at a lot of historical data on in crypto in the last two cycles. I did some more digging, and just to give a sense of context of, if you look to the past, you can know what to expect in the year ahead, right? And so crypto has been very predictable in a sense, right? In terms of adhering to the 4-year cycle, even though it's highly, highly volatile. And I expect a lot of volatility over the next 6 months to a year, right? If you don't like volatility, learn to get used to it, because it's going to get hella volatile, right? It's going to get, as things get crazy, it's going to get crazy to the upside and to the downside, because there are going to be corrections along the way. So get comfortable with the volatility, but more importantly, make a plan, because we're closer to the end than the beginning. It's very important to understand that we are in the last leg of a bull run, and we are closer to the end than the beginning. The sand in the hourglass is, running out, so to speak. When does it run out? We'll only know in hindsight, but we can, looking at the past, we can predict, not, when the cycle top will come, but how to exit. All right. And so we'll talk about that. As always, light up the chat with your comments, questions, and I'll get to those as well. We'll talk about some updates on Devve, Mcade, some of the alts that we cover over here and that a lot of us are in, and anything that you guys are interested in talking about. So let's see who's here and let's get into it. First one in, Dino Dragon. What's going on, brother? Yeah, I've been liking the consistent streaming also. The work that goes into it is useful for me. So it's good to get in a rhythm. Hopefully I stay in that rhythm. What's going on, Raven? Chuck Space coming up at 4:45. Make sure that you're there. P. Hoddle, Chuck to a buck. Let's go. Chuck is still holding a very solid floor, which is what you want to see out of a meme coin. So coming up on the 1-year anniversary of Chuck in just a few months. It's going to be fun. G Money in the house. What's good? Walshy, what's going on, brother? Great subject, very personal one. Wondering your bags and your goals. Yeah, so my bags are, I don't like publicly saying what my bags are, but they're pretty good. I've been here for a couple years now. Bought some Solana, a bunch of Solana during the bear, bought Bitcoin during the bear, have since moved into small alts. So my goals are, retirement, hopefully, but I'm living in New York, so I don't know if that's actually feasible. Siddiqui in the house. What's going on, brother? A lot of volatility, man. I think it's temporary. I'll talk about it. My crypto, not yours. What's good, Chuckster? Do I throw some free cash at TET or Mcade? Hold good amount of both. That's up to you, brother. Whenever I think about what to buy, it's, do I have enough of something and do I want to diversify? What's the diversification look like? If you spread out a bit, Mcade is already, if you got in early on Mcade, you're up on it. Tectum is still down. I like them both. When I think about where to allocate, I think, am I diversified enough? Do I need exposure to AI? I think AI, and everyone knows, I think at this point, that AI is the leading narrative of this cycle. We'll talk about why I think that will continue. But yeah, Eli, depends on your how you're allocated. Jomi in the house. What's good, B Dubs? How are you, brother? MK, best time to fill up the bags. Yo, Danny, smash the streams out. Smash the like, people. Yeah, smash the likes. Hit the subscribe button. and all that good stuff. Let's get into it. Bitcoin down right now, 96,000, down 5% on the day, which is a sizable move. It was at 102, started 102.2 early yesterday. So down a good 6% today. If you look at the 7-day, coming back down, test these levels. If you look on the monthly, it's just a range, right? We're still in this range. Look on the yearly, looks fantastic, right? So nothing to freak out about. It's just the volatility that comes with the game, and the reason for today's volatility is job openings came in, right? Data came in, and the data was actually positive. It was positive news for the jobs market, but the problem is that a strong jobs market and a strong overall economy means that the Fed is going to not lower rates faster, right? So let me pull up, trying to see, gold pulled back, S&P. So the S&P fell today. NVIDIA was down 5%. And basically the jobs report that came in today was very positive for the jobs market. But what that means is that we're likely to get another, maybe some more hawkish news from the Fed. Okay, so they talked about in December when the market took a big dump, it was because the Fed said that in 2025 they expected 2 rate cuts as opposed to 4 or 5. And so this jobs report reinforces that idea that we'll get less rate cuts and possibly a rate hike in 2025. So we're going to find out. This is short-term volatility, I think, reacting off of the employment data. Keep in mind, we have more employment data coming out on Friday. Expect more volatility. But then we've got Trump's inauguration, right? And I think that there'll be some positive price action based off that, just anticipation specifically in crypto, with the resignation of Gensler on the horizon, with the Avengers, the Avengers style cast of people in the government now that are pro crypto, and even Michael Saylor throwing his hat in for an advisory, an advisory board for Bitcoin for Trump. He said that he would be open to an advisory role on not only Bitcoin but all of crypto for the Trump administration. So again, you've got all these pro crypto people moving into office January 20th. That starts. You'll hear more talk of a Bitcoin reserve. So a lot of bullish things coming long term. Short term, expect the volatility. Okay, there's going to be a lot of volatility. And so you have to anticipate it and be okay with it. And when Bitcoin goes down 5%, your portfolio is going to go down 10% or more. And that's just the way it is. But again, this Friday, another jobs report is out. And on January 29th, we have the next Fed meeting. Okay. So 2 key dates that could cause volatility in the market. But overall, like I said, looking quite healthy on Bitcoin. We're in a range. We had our first dip. Who knows how long this will take until we see a new high and a breakout above $108,000. I do think it'll happen. And that's all you need to look at. We talk about alt season. Will there be an alt season? When is alt season? Just follow Bitcoin. As long as Bitcoin is in a continued uptrend, we'll get to our alt season. Okay. The only danger, in my opinion, is that the top is in on Bitcoin. All right. And so I don't think that's the case. The top is not in. But keep in mind that this bull market has been on since, November of 2022. Bitcoin has been in this uptrend for 2 years now. We're in the last final quarter. If this were a football game, this is the fourth quarter of the football game in terms of the overall crypto market. Okay. And the biggest gains on altcoins come in the shortest amount of time. Historically, we talked about in my last stream, I'll pull up some of this data in a little while, and I added to it, but historically, that's happened January, February. We've started seeing alt season commence. So last cycle, this is where we're at right now. This is January. All right, so last cycle, we were here in the alt season index. We're here right now. All right, so we're pretty comparable to where we were last cycle. Where did it go? It trended up into February, mid-February, came down a bit, went sideways, and then mid-March into this, banana zone where everything is kind of like, going crazy. And that lasted until June. March to June. What's that? 12 weeks? About 12 weeks. Okay. And then the party was over and we came back up towards the end of the year. But it's very interesting to note, and this leads me to the main point of this video, is last cycle, coins topped out at different parts of the cycle. Okay. It wasn't like 2017, and I'll show you the data. I did a good breakdown on 100 coins from each cycle. And that's what's informing me on when to sell this time. All right. So I'm going to get into that in a minute. But, I see a lot of this talk and I get these questions from people, right? Where, Bitcoin on chain reveals that this cycle is being driven by institutions, ETFs, and nation states. And so this cycle won't be like past cycles. And then you see comments like this. This will also have its implications on alt season, as Bitcoin institutional liquidity won't flow into alts. I hear a lot of people with this fear that because this is an institutional driven cycle, that we're not going to get an alt season because institutions aren't going to funnel. They're not going to sell their Bitcoin to buy our shit coins. Okay. But this time is not different. People always have a reason why they think the new cycle will be different from the last cycle. And while things are a little different, pretty much the cycle has played out, and I would not bet against the cycle. And to illustrate that, if you look at where we are now in terms of prices at this point in the cycle before alt season, and compare it to pre-alt season, this is a snapshot from January 10th, 2021. So this is right before last alt season. Okay. And this is for people who think that money's not going to flow into alts because institutions are in. Compare where we are now pre-alt season to where we were pre-alt season last cycle. If you look at the top 10 coins at that time, 2 of them had a valuation above 100 billion, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Right now, we've got 5, 6 Count Solana rounded up, and that's including Tether. So really 5 coins of 100 billion. If you look at the top 10, the 10th coin was valued at 6 billion, Stellar. Here, the 10th coin valued at 21 billion. There is more money, way more money in alts now, and there will be way more money in alts 6 months from now, 11 months from now. You look at the top 100 coins today, and they're all over $1 billion market cap. This time last cycle, there were 40 coins at $1 billion. So we have more than twice as many already over $1 billion in market cap. So this time is not different. The idea that because it's institutional this time, we're not going to get an alt season, or it's going to be a muted alt season. I don't agree with that. I do think that there will be a lot more money coming in this time. Not everything is going to explode, right? You can't expect every single coin to do 100x, but we will see more coins with, reach sizable market caps, and more coins reaching those bigger market caps. So I wanted to start by addressing that. And then I'm going to get back. Let me jump back into the chat a bit before I get into some of the data. Matt Johnson in the house. What's good, brother? Timo, we got Joss Max. I don't know, Joss Max. How do you pronounce that, Joss? Sam in the house. What's good, brother? Yeah, it is a good time. If you like Mint Layer and believe in it, it's a good price to buy Mint Layer. This has been its, any coin that you like, that you're confident in, that's been holding a floor. This is the floor, and this has been the floor for Mint Layer, right? It's been holding this over the last 6 months. So it's a good place to buy. Likewise, Tectum, $5.50. If you're into that, good place to buy. AI Tech, any coin that you've been tracking, that you believe in, that's at a level that has held up and has proven to be kind of like a bottom, now is a good time to accumulate. So yeah, I do think that it is a good time to buy Mint Layer at this price. I hope my sound is all good. Happy New Year, Abe. If you make big gains this year, will you keep your day job? It depends on how big my gains are. It'll be hard for me to retire because it's expensive over here in New York. I don't hold any OMI anymore. I sold my OMI, and I moved into other alts. Do I think a coin on BNB or Polygon is a negative? Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a positive to be on BNB and Polygon. I think you can do okay regardless. Like I hold Naka is on Polygon. I have a couple coins on BNB. Maybe Games for a Living, I think, is on BNB. Rio is on Algorand, BNB, and ETH. So, I mean, I prefer coins on other networks, but if it's a good project and I believe in it, I won't turn my back on it. Mcade based AI, my main plays this cycle. Good stuff. I don't know much about based AI, but I've seen it. Mcade has done really well. But in my last video, I talked about what to expect in terms of volatility. And we say that this cycle looks more like 2017 in terms of Bitcoin. And so I analyzed, a couple of small caps. I did the same for the 2021 cycle and looked at Solana and Sandbox. But more importantly, I looked at the top of 100 different altcoins in 2021 and 2017 to check when they topped out. All right. And it's pretty interesting. Let me zoom in. So this is 2017, and 80% of coins, of altcoins, topped out in January of 2018. So that would be For this cycle, figure that would be like, end of the year 2025. 80% of them topped out pretty much, most of them on the same day. You see a lot of January 6th, January 7th, January 8th, January 9th. Okay. And this cycle went to the end of the year in 2017. 2021 was a different animal, and we had a double top, right? And so when we think about when are we going to exit, are we going to be straight and up and to the right, or and with a blow off top like 2017, or are we going to get a double top? So what happened last year or last cycle with alts is that they topped at different times. All right. So in May is when Bitcoin first topped out at 60, whatever it was, 64,000. 23% of coins topped out in May and did not get back to these highs. VeChain, Swipe, Tron, Doge, Litecoin, Chainlink, a lot of, Aave. These are a lot of strong coins that never got back to these May highs. And a bunch of them, 14% of the 100 that I tracked, topped out in April, even before that. Theta, Rally, which was hot because this was like an early RWA play. Flow, which was an NFT blockchain. All right, and you even had some of them top out in March, Superverse, Sushi Swap, and a few top out in February. So last cycle, approximately 40% of coins topped out by May. 50 to 60% topped out at the end of the year. All right, so 26% in November. And that's your Veracity, your Polkadot, Axie, Solana, BNB put in a double top. Avalanche, Wilderworld, Gala, Sandbox. Some of them put in a high in October, right? Some in November. And so it was really spread out last cycle. So the question is, how do you take profits, right? When do you sell? If we're up and to the right, like we were in 2017, does that mean that all of our alts are going to top towards the end of the year? My thinking is that alts are going to be spread out more, similar to what they were last cycle, regardless of when Bitcoin tops. And I think it'll have to do with market sentiment, market sector sentiment, and rotations. All right. So I think that I'm leaning more towards the idea of, our coins topping out at different times. And so my thoughts are to sell a large portion of my portfolio, when the market really heats up, when alt season gets going and we get into this period, which I anticipate, happening again. I expect February, us to be on this uptrend through February, and then spring to be in this, super overheated alt season, which could last, 8 to 12 weeks. This is when I plan to do a lot of selling. And now the thing with that is, if alts peak at like they did in 2017 and continue on at the end of the year, the good thing with that strategy is that even if they do that and move on to put in higher highs towards the end of the year, they're still looking at a big haircut. They're still looking at, and if you look at the 2017 cycle, things ran up through May and still dropped 50 to 60% and went sideways for 6 months. If you look at the 2021 cycle, if you look at Solana, it ran up through May. Same, pretty much the same situation as 2017, right? These alts ran up all the way through May, and then they had a very sharp correction and then exploded at the end of the year. Last cycle, half the coins ran up through May and stopped running up. That was it. What screwed people up last cycle was when the market came back, they expected all coins to come back. And so a lot of people who follow my channel were in on OMI. They bought OMI at, after it corrected, after its all-time high, with the expectation that it's going back past that at the end of the year, because that's what happened in 2017. It didn't happen, right? 50% of coins didn't make new highs, didn't come back at the end of last cycle to put in new highs. They went up, but they didn't go up to to the levels that people expected and were waiting for. And because of that, a lot of people were turned into bag holders. And so even if a coin, puts in a new top towards the end of the year, both cycles saw more than 50% drops after May in alts. Okay, and that goes for pretty much everything. Look at Sand, which was really strong last cycle. Sand, which was a metaverse play, did a 20x in a matter of 15 weeks, okay, from December through April. A 20x from 3 cents to 73 cents. And then it went down 75%. So during that first parabolic move, which would be here, right? If we get the same move up and we get into this alt season, you can anticipate that to last, 8 to 12 weeks. And that's a good time to take profits. And what I wanted to do was create a spreadsheet just showing, how to DCA out of something and, what you would get out of it. Because I think that's the only way to really do it, is to DCA out. And for me, I'm going to be selling here a bunch in May, not everything, but a bunch. Because at the very least, we're going to get a big correction. Okay, nothing goes straight up forever. So, in a worst case, or not in one scenario this cycle, a lot of people expect the top to come in May or whatever. Okay, and so the thing is about a top, you don't know until hindsight, right? About a year later, that's when you can confirm that it was the top. If it is the top in May, and you take good profits, you're good, right? If it's not the top, you're still going to get a big dip, right? We're still going to get a heavy correction because that's what alts do. It's hyper volatile, it's a hyper volatile space. Your Bitcoin's going to get 3 to 4 corrections in a cycle. We're in the first correction right now. So on every Bitcoin correction, alts are going to correct more. Okay, when that happens, you're not going to know, right? Because you're not going to know if that's the end. And that's where the panic will set in. So as long as, for me, it's taking profits here and then assessing here. And how heavy I take profits here will be dependent on what size my portfolio gets to, how high my alts go, and what Bitcoin looks like in terms of its strength going into the end of the year. All right, but I'm definitely going to be selling a bunch in this time period, and then I'm going to assess during this time period. So that's my strategy. I wanted to come up with, my plan was to create a spreadsheet on DCAing out and, show, to visualize how it works and the percentage of gains that you end up getting. But someone rear-ended me today. I got into a little car accident. I had to go to the station. So that sucked. Took up my time. But, that's my thoughts on when I'm selling. I'm looking to sell in the spring once we get into alt season. I'm not going to try to capture the top because it doesn't work. And if you look at the 2021 cycle, yeah, you can say that XRP did a 600x from here to here. And you can say that all these coins, even this shit coin that I looked at, did a 25x from bottom in January to January of the next year. It went from $4 to $100. But if you look at the charts of the 2017 cycle, it was a blow off top, and they stayed at that price for a day. And then they declined by 50% within days, 60%. And so to think that you're going to pick the day on a top is foolish. It's on all your coins. It's not going to happen. So, for me, the best way to do it is just DCA out the way I DCA'd in and try to extract as much money as I can from the market while making sure that I extract a good amount of money from the market and don't end up bag holding, right? Because it gets tricky. And there's a lot of trickery here. Like I said, if you bought, last cycle, if there was a 50% dip after May and you were DCAing Dogecoin and Link, and I was DCAing Link, thinking that Link was going to go to a new all-time high, and it never happened. It went up, but that's how you end up bag holding, because the expectation is set that the market is still hot. We're still in the middle of alt season, and everything will put in a new all-time high on the next leg up. And it just didn't happen last cycle. And so the cycles are very similar, but as this space evolves, I do think that things will look a little more like last cycle in terms of some scattered, tops. And if you look at what topped here, it was a lot of gaming plays and metaverse plays, because that's what was hot in November when Facebook changed their name to Meta and created, a lot of, chaos online, and everyone was going crazy about the metaverse. Look at all these coins: Gala, Wild, Mana, Sandbox. I'm not sure what Hive is. Illuvium. A lot of these guys, Axie Infinity, right? All those gaming and metaverse plays put in highs in November because that was the sector that was hot at the time. All right. And so I think it's just important to think through these things and be prepared, because when we're in the midst of it, it's going to be hard to think, because your timeline is going to be filled with euphoria and people calling for higher and higher prices. And what you're going to see is people talking about a super cycle. It's going to happen. They're going to say it's a super cycle now because institutions are in and the ETFs are in, and now, a bunch of nations are in, and they're going to be buying Bitcoin forever. And so we're not going to get a 70% retracement on Bitcoin, and therefore we're not going to get major retracements on alts. That's going to be the narrative when we're in peak euphoria, and people are going to call for higher prices. When Bitcoin hits 120, if it gets close to 150, people are going to call for 250, 300. Right? That's just the way things work. And you need to be able to block it out and execute a plan so that you can, get as much out of the market as possible. Because the last thing that you want to do is be here for 3 years or 2 years, however long, we've been here. The last thing I want to do is put all this work in, accumulate a nice bag, and then not get what I came for. Okay. So for me, the deeper we get into this year, the more defense, the more I shift from offense to defense. And, my buying is more limited now because I'm out of funds, first of all. But I am still I would still be a buyer at these levels. I think it's still a good time to buy alts. But the deeper we get into this, the more that we shift to defense. Let me get back into the chat and see what you guys got going on here. I hope Mcade goes well past 10 cents. I mean, I think it will. So Mcade's at a little over 3 cents right now. And, they're doing everything right. And they're a gaming coin that is outperforming the gaming market, right? If you look at a lot of coins that we track, or that, that a lot of us liked, and I was in on G Swift early on. I got out of it a while back, and I think I put that into Mcade or Naka. But this is what most gaming projects look like. Where's Playable Games at? And I like these projects, but gaming has not been hot. But Mcade has been strong. And I think that's because of, some of the execution that's been going on from the team and the strong community. And so at this stage in the market, I think that Mcade is positioned to go well past 10 cents. It's currently at I want to say a $60 million market cap. I think Coin Market Cap is wrong. Let me pull it up here. It's at a $59 million market cap. And I think, when you get a nice run, I can see it in that hyperbolic phase of the market putting in another 8x. When we get into that banana zone of alt season. Okay, again, the biggest moves are made in the shortest amount of time. I can see coins, be prepared for coins putting in another 4 or 5x, a 10x, an 8x in a short amount of time. So, I could potentially see Mcade being at the 20 cent level, 25 cents by May, in a proper alt season. I'm not saying it gets there, but I mean that for any strong altcoin that you're in. Any altcoin from here in alt season, right? If it's hot and it hits, it can 8x in a short amount of time. You don't know until it happens, right? But just be ready. Because the other thing, what's tricky about it is that you don't want to sell on as soon as something starts going up, right? And miss the big part of the move. And so it's tricky. You also have to keep in mind that sometimes things go higher than you expected. And that's why a DCA approach is really the best, because you're just taking out percentages, right? And you're not taking out a bulk too low. You're kind of like eating off a chart. But would I be shocked if Mcade is 25 cents in May? I wouldn't. I think it can absolutely be, which would put it at about a $300 million market cap. We're getting to that. We're getting close to that time, right? Time is running out, right? Again, that's if history repeats and we get an alt season. That's how alts behave in alt season. Okay. They have parabolic moves. And again, 2017, we saw it. 8x move early on. We saw big moves at this time in the spring, and then a dump, and then a big comeback. Last cycle, we saw big moves in the spring. Half of them didn't get back. And for some of them, it was bigger, right? Some of them had bigger moves early on, and they never got back there. Okay, so Mcade also just where is it? They're on everything. They moved to Base Network, which was a great move. They've been very proactive in thinking one step ahead, anticipating what the trends in the market would be, right? So they were gonna migrate to Matic, to Polygon. That was the original plan. Russ saw Base emerging, and that was before Base was really hot, and they made the decision to migrate to Base Chain. All right, turned out really well. Now, months ago, they mentioned incorporating AI into their platform, right? And now, just as the AI agent narrative is hitting, their AI agents are now ready. All right, and so they're doing this in two ways. One is a podcast that they're releasing in their media quarter that is AI driven. An AI agent is compiling information, and then two AI agents reporters are speaking to each other about the gaming industry and gaming trends. But the other is, having voice agents and things like that within the gaming platform, right? That's their other use case. And so, again, they started this months ago, anticipating where we were headed. And so they've been one step ahead of the curve, and they've been in line with the narratives of this cycle. And that, to me, is part of why they are, doing well. They were a $10 million market cap, a couple months ago. Now they're at a $60 million market cap, and this is their new floor. So, good stuff for Mcade. Cool Mo in the house. What's good, brother? Hope you're doing well. Some of your year dates are wrong. Oh, thanks, brother. Yeah, I copy and pasted. I'll go in there and edit. Thank you, Russ, for that. I heard a rumor of AI tech moving to Base, but I don't know if that was from their official channel, and I haven't seen much mention of it. I would welcome it because I prefer Base to BNB, but let's see what happens. And AI tech has been flat, but I still like it. And it's kind of like an AI infrastructure play. One of the other things I wanted to talk about is that, the trend is your friend. And we talked about the main narratives this cycle, and one of them being AI. Everyone should be holding AI tokens. It's like not having exposure to metaverse tokens last cycle, right? And you saw what happened. You can anticipate what's going to happen. Many AI tokens going into the billions in market cap. It's going to happen. And it gets confusing because there are so many of them, right? And now AI agents are in the mix. And I'm not chasing AI agents because there's also, you don't want to chase. And it gets very diluted. And they're almost like meme coins now, where there are hundreds of them being produced. Okay, but if you find a good AI play, I think it's a move. I think that everyone should be in the sector because it's not going to stop. It's in the collective consciousness of everyone. NVIDIA, the CEO of NVIDIA was speaking at a convention, the CES convention in Vegas yesterday, and unveiled all these new AI technologies that are going to be incorporated with the NVIDIA chips. And there are headlines all over about it. NVIDIA stock rallied to new highs. I think NVIDIA flipped Apple this year. Palantir, which is a stock, was my favorite stock 3 years ago. I was buying Palantir heaviest, anticipating an AI run. All right, now Palantir went from like $6 to $72, I think. AI is not just a crypto narrative. This is in the wider news cycle. It's, it's in the stock market, it's being driven by Nvidia, and it's not going to stop. And look, it's down heavy today, down 8%. But look at the year on Nvidia. Look at the all-time chart on Nvidia. Okay, this is like a crypto chart. AI isn't going anywhere. And so be positioned, right, in the top narratives of the cycle, because at the end of the day, utility coins, I look at them as meme coins, right? They were trading narratives, and everyone is going to FOMO into narratives. Yeah, B-dubs, my next stream, I think I'm going to break down strategies of DCAing out based on percentages. Yeah. But, the other thing is it's kind of touch and feel in terms of getting out, because there are so many different factors that are unique to people, right? So one is your goals, your financial situation. It's not easy. It's not a one size fits all, put it that way. What's your price predict for Chuck? Chuck to $1. Now, I don't like to do price predictions for anything. For an asset like Chuck, that is, a meme coin on base, it's been holding a strong floor. This is the daily. You see, it's been holding a strong floor going all the way back. Whoops. Sorry. That's Donnie. Let me put Chuck back in there. It's not letting me go back. Give me a second. I don't know why it's not coming up. Having a hard time pulling it up. But it's held a strong floor. Here it is. At 1.5 million. Community's really strong. On base network, I would anticipate a base meme season at some point. And I think a lot of coins would benefit from that, and, there are coins right now like Boomer and Crash and all these other coins that I'm tracking that are pretty much also at their floors. So I'm happy to see Chuck holding a strong floor over here. I don't have a prediction for it because who knows what's going to happen. Can a meme coin can, get up there? It can get into the hundreds of millions. What would I love to see? I would love to see Chuck break its all-time high of 32 million and, get to 100 million market cap. I would love that. Does it happen? Who knows? Right? That's why it's kind of like, in baseball, they say you have to play the games. You can predictions, anyone can make a prediction, but at the end of the day, you have to play the games. And so I don't make predictions, even with, utility coins that are a little easier to predict, because it's kind of impossible to predict where a small meme coin is going to go, right? You could say where you'd like it to go, but to predict where it's going to go is hard. And even with utility coins, like when we talk about Mcade, I can't predict, and I don't think anyone can predict where this is going to go. There are a wide range of market caps that these things can go to, and silly things can move them to really bloated, irrational market caps, like we saw with metaverse tokens. Sandbox and Decentraland are not getting to $8 and $10 billion market cap if Facebook doesn't change their name to Meta. Right? So you can't predict the things that are going to spark a big rally. And, in altcoin, in meme coins, if you look at Ski Mask Dog, which was trending very similarly to Chuck, it was actually below Chuck, and Chuck Community beat Ski Mask Dog in a competition back in summer. It was at $1.5 million. But then the coin was spotted over here in a politician's wallet. And then it did a 300x in a month. So it went from $1 million, which is where Chuck is now, to 300 million. You can't predict that, right? How can you, the thing about meme coins is that, memes go viral. There's a viral nature to it. And so if that happens, it's off to the races, right? And that happened with Ski Mask Dog. It's now holding a floor above 200 million. It's at $226 million market cap. Okay, so it's impossible to say before meme coin. All you can do is build out your community, have a strong community, hold a strong coin, wait for liquidity to get in there, and then wait for a spark. Hope that a spark comes that sparks that huge upside potential. But no predictions. Did you invest as much as you liked this bull run? Yeah, I did. I invested as much as I could in the bear market. And so I did some things well and I did some things wrong. I made mistakes. I bought the bottom on Bitcoin. First of all, my first mistake was I bought too much on the way down. So in some respects, I bought a falling knife. Okay. And that was on the coins that I liked the most, which happened to be fine anyway. It was Bitcoin, like Ethereum and Solana. Okay, were the three, and some ADA also. I was buying when Solana went down to $60. I bought it down from like 240 last cycle to 60. I was buying it. It ended up being a mistake because what I should have done was recognized we're in a downtrend and wait for it to bottom. Wait for a bottom signal and confirmation of a reversal, and then pack your bags. So that was one mistake that I made, but I forgive myself. I bought a lot of Solana between $8 and $25. I bought Bitcoin at the bottom, 15.8, all the way up to 25K. I bought Ethereum from $900 to $1,400. I bought ADA from 25 cents to 35 cents. And I bought some OMI, which ended up being a mistake. And even buying ADA was also a mistake at those levels, right? In hindsight. So if I had to do it again in hindsight, I would only buy Bitcoin and maybe, an alt that like Solana, like a layer one that I think has a big future ahead of it that I think is going to rebound and I think is way oversold, right? So I did that well and I went in heavy, all the way up. Okay, so I went heavy and then I rotated into alts. And some of my rotations were good and some of them weren't. So I bought Devve at first a little high, but it's impossible to do things perfectly. But, I don't have any regrets. Sui pad or Sui? What is Sui pad? I mean, Sui itself, I think is like, it will be like Solana of this cycle, and we'll get to 100 billion. I think it's possible it gets to like 100 billion, 95 billion, 100 billion market cap. Let's say you get a 20x on a token. Will you roll profits into other projects? I'm going to be careful about rotations and being greedy, because oftentimes when I've over rotated, I've made mistakes, right? Sometimes it's better to let the winners win. That's not to say I'm not going to have short-term plays, but I think there'll be more short-term plays because by the time I get a 20x, and I think I've got like a 5x so far on Medicaid, but we're going to be in here, right? You're on borrowed time. And so one thing I'm going to try to do is try to control my greed. I think if I do rotate, I'm going to take profits to stables. And if I put money back in, I'm going to have a clear exit strategy. And yeah, a clear exit strategy and try to get out, right? Because the problem with rotating is there's always a shiny new object. I over rotated earlier in the cycle when we had that mini bull run. Here it is. Here we go. Right here. So in hindsight, some of the rotations I did not work here. Okay. And so I'm wary of it unless it's a short-term play and I'm looking to ride something up, because by the time you get into the 20, 30x category, like I said, we're already on, we're kind of like the hourglass is running out. And so you got to be careful. BV Zombie, appreciate you. Thank you. I don't really like Polygon. Polygon to me is last cycle's narrative and play. And this cycle, I mean, look at its performance here. It's very weak compared to other infrastructure plays like Solana, even like ADA. ADA's back to $1. A lot of people last year, if you asked me 2 years ago, what would be one of the best plays this cycle, I would have said Polygon looks great. The thing about this sector is that things change so fast. The technology changes so fast. Now Polygon is kind of like, it's outdated. It's like not in terms of the tech, but in terms of the hype. Base is out now, and you see projects migrating from Matic to Base, or projects that were going to go to Matic that are now going to Base, and so projects are leaving Polygon. So I think Polygon underperforms compared to others. I think it goes up with the market, but I don't like it as much as other infrastructure plays. What sources do you like getting your alpha from? Any YouTubers on or X you follow? I watch for macro stuff. Jason Pizzino is he's good on the macroeconomic cycle. He tracks Bitcoin, the S&P 500, and the real estate cycle. And he's good. He's very good at charts, and he's good at playing defense. So he's good. Who else do I watch? I'll check in on like Benjamin Cohen. I think presents good data. I haven't watched too much. I'm trying to scroll right now. Yeah. If I think of any, I'll let you know in the Telegram. SuiPad. Yeah, I'm not familiar with it. I know that, there are going to be a bunch of projects coming out on Sui, and a lot of meme coins are out there now that are doing well that I think will continue to attract people to Sui. Right? So Lofi is one that's gotten to $144 million market cap. It was straight up till about, was that 200? I think it hit like 230 million. It's corrected. Is this their big one. Is this like their bonk or whatever? You know, I could see this going to 1 billion or so, and that'll bring liquidity. Meme coins bring liquidity to a platform. They have a good wallet. Axel is another meme coin over there. That's a $39 million market cap. That looks promising. And I see a lot of calls. I know Soka Data is promoting it and into it. Then another one is Tardy, which is a $26 million market cap. So there's some good meme projects coming out on Sui, which is a good precursor. You know, we saw like when Bonk came out on Solana and when Bonkers, that's when a lot of people got excited about the Solana ecosystem, right? And so I think, you know, that meme coins are kind of like precursor to more activity coming in. What's good, OG Vault? Do you like Polyswarm NCT? I don't know. Let me look it up. Looks good on the chart here. That's the daily, 27%. 7-day, 127%. And good on the month. Chart looks great. I'm not familiar with the project. Is this Polyswarm? Is this like an AI thing? Well, it's got a whole bunch of, it's got Alibaba down here. Let's look at the team. Team is doxed. The chart looks really good. Yeah. Hope you're making money on it. Yeah, if it's an AI thing and it's solid, I think it'll do well. Like, I don't know much about it, but the chart is good. AI, I think, will continue to perform. Don't fade AI. You know, the trend is your friend. Last cycle, I didn't get into I just didn't understand NFTs really, or like know how to navigate the whole space. There's so much to learn. It's not as difficult with tokens, right? But because it's just not. So don't fade it. You know, sometimes we get set in our ways and set it in our with what we're comfortable with. AI is going to continue to put in numbers. If you just look at like virtuals, which look at that chart. This isn't these guys produce a lot of the AI agents, a lot of the AI agents. So they're an infrastructure play. This is from, October to here. So it's been up from 15 cents to almost $4, a clear winner. Good stuff. Do you think XRP will get traction with the Trump administration? I think there will be regulatory clarity. Yeah, I do think that XRP, I read today about XRP and Bank of America. Bank of America doing 100% of internal transaction on XRP with 83 patents. You know, I do anticipate some possible. I know I read that like Swift was testing out XRP. The other thing I anticipate with the Trump administration is I think we're going to get some crypto IPOs on the stock market. You know, I think that Ripple Labs will get into the stock market. But in terms of XRP itself, I still don't like it as a buy because it's at $131 billion market cap. How high is it going to go? I think a lot of, the SEC reversal is priced in already here. Well, Gensler's removal and a shift in administration. Look at this. It's priced in. This was election day. All right, so the shift in SEC is already priced in on XRP. It's at $131 billion market cap. I think it can get to a new all-time high. Sal from the pizzeria, my friend, thinks it's going to a $60 trillion market cap. I had to tell him that it's not. It's not going to $1,000. It's not going to $100. But, $6 would put it at $500 billion market cap. That's kind of my target on XRP. I have a hard time seeing it above $6 this cycle. Yeah, good move. What's good, Danu? The videos of new tech coming out of CES convention. Yeah, it is. And like I said, AI is only going to continue capturing attention. And pay attention to it. Which of the AI projects should we look at? Let's see. Let's pull up AI. I mean, the AI projects that I picked have not exploded. So, you got like for the bigger caps, I bought a lot of render for my father-in-law at around $6 or $7 recently. So it depends on your risk profile. In terms of big caps, I think render, near will do well. Render, I think, can go to, I think it can get to like a $30 billion market cap, which would, I think it has the potential to, 8x from here maybe. And that's a big cap. I think virtuals will continue to perform. That's a big cap. But in terms of smaller ones, a lot of these have already gone up a lot. I am in AI Tech, which I've talked about a lot on this channel, which is at an $86 million market cap. It was at about 2 cents. I think I got in around here between 2 and 5 cents at first, and I've bought more down here, went up to 45 cents. I'm surprised that it hasn't gone up more. It's kind of like an AI infrastructure play. We're seeing a lot of the AI agents move right now. So we'll see. I'm in this. I'm in Astra, which I got in early. Chatted spike, came back down to about 90 cents. It's gone back up. It was as high as 350. They just listed on Mcade. This is about a $22 million market cap. I just got into Asto. Which here ran early in the year with AI, with the AI narrative, went up to 9 cents, came all the way down to a penny. And it's popping again now. This is about 5 cents. It's up a 5x from the floor, but still only, I think the market cap's higher than this, 25 million. $25 million. It's at 25 million. And it looks promising. They've been around for a couple of years. They actually hit an all-time high of like 800 million when they first came out. I think it was 2022 when this first dropped. You see, it was all the way up here. So this is like in that initial when in the bear market, when AI was going nuts, is when this came out and was at 800 million, plummeted, but has come back in the last year. And it's an AI agent that creates things for gaming and the metaverse. So you can basically type in a description of something, and the agent will create it within the game or the metaverse. And I think make it like an NFT. So they have non-fungible intelligence protocol. So you can, it's wild because you don't need to be an artist anymore to create digital art, right? You can just type in your description of something, and if you can think about it, you can create it. And it can be, an NFT. So they're partnered with Root, I know, and the Futureverse. And they were also, featured by Van Eck. So we'll see what happens. I think that anything that's good in AI should benefit and go up. That's what I'm into. Someone else in Ron's Telegram group put out some small caps, but I don't want to put them out because they're not my picks. And I didn't do a lot of research, but I bought them, but I didn't do a ton of research yet. And those are agents. Marcus, thanks, brother. Appreciate you. But I would, if it's overwhelming, but I would get a list of AI coins. The thing is, if you get like AGI is I like AGI a lot. I don't hold it. And I think that's in the buy zone. But the market cap's, 160 million. It actually popped last week. I thought it was down more. But, I mean, AGI is still a good DCA, I would say. This went up to 64 cents. So it was up at about a $700 million market cap. Yeah. Check out AGI. But when you're into micro caps, TARS is another one. I know Ron likes TARS. That's now at a $200 million market cap, though. This has popped. Yep. I'm surprised AI Tech hasn't moved more. Maybe it's because it's on BNB. I don't know. But I would think that AI Tech would have performed. I'm just picking random ones to look at the charts. No, RI is a good one. $151 million market cap. These are a little bigger. The further you go down the wormhole, the more upside, but also the more, just do research. You have to research the team. Palm AI is one that I was in under $1 million market cap. I paper handed it. If this were to come back down, it just popped, I think, last week because of Becker featured it. Alex Becker featured it in a video. I know Altcoin Daily has talked about this. I think this will continue to do well. This is an $80 million market cap, Palm AI. And this is on, I want to say, ETH. I don't think it's on Base. I'm pretty sure it's on ETH network. Here's AI Tech. So yeah, I've got about 5 or 6 different AI projects that I'm in. But you just want to be allocated to, what is potentially the hottest sector. And maybe you don't catch, you don't catch a virtuals, because virtuals, it's like catching render early. Right? I mean, I thought and I think that AI Tech can get to $1 billion market cap or into the billions, which if it did would be kind of like catching a vertical from down virtuals from here to here. But it has to play out. Like I said, it's like baseball. They got to play the games. You can speculate and say that something's going to a certain market cap, but it's got to play out. But this is my biggest AI bag is AI tech. And we will see how it plays out. No, I'm not in Chirp. Let me look it up. Is Chirp Finance and is Chirp like an AI bot that maybe this, or Chirply? Is this it? Let's see. Yeah, I think I looked at this last time. Or someone mentioned this. I don't know if it was you. So I think that, is this like an AI bot that aggregates social media data? Or not? Yeah, I haven't looked at it too much. Let me look at it. Let me see. Existing platforms lacking the technology to help them grow, or is just like a social fi? Is this AI or social fi? If it's social fi, I'm not really. If it's social fi, I'm not really interested, just because I'm not into the narrative. Were there other AI coins you considered getting into before you landed on Asto? So I was in a group chat with some guys who just listed about 15 AI agents. And I was looking for something that hadn't popped. I wanted exposure to the sector, to the subsector of AI, but I didn't want to chase anything. And so to me, Asto looked promising. There are two others that I bought, like I said, that I don't want to put out here because I didn't do enough research on them, and they were put out in the Telegram group. And they are 13 million market cap and $10 million market cap. But I don't want to put anything out that I didn't do homework on. Vault, it's hard. I don't know because I've moved. So I know what my gains are on specific coins, and my biggest gains were in Solana. If I had my Sol bag right now in its entirety, it would have been about $150,000. But I rotated out into some alts. Some of those have gone up a bunch. Some of them I lost money on. So I'm not sure what my gains and losses are overall. I'd have to sit down and work it out. I also don't know, I didn't keep track of every time I put money into the market, because I put money into Mcade, put money into MetaMask, put money into whatever. And I was just DCAing for 2 years. And hopefully now it all pays off in this last part of the cycle, because we're getting close. So next time I stream, I'm going to have a DCA strategy. I'm going to break down percentages, right? What it looks like when you DCA out, and my thoughts on selling, right? On just a bunch of things. I wrote a bunch of notes, and again, I wanted that for today, but I got caught up. Real talk, was it hard breaking away from Omi? It was hard to break. It was hard because there are two reasons. One is, when you buy something and hold it and you have conviction in it, to reassess your conviction and then move on from it is hard, because you look at your losses and you wonder, what if I'm wrong? And now if I'm wrong and it goes up, how can I forgive myself? You know what I mean? So there's that part, but that's not the way. I had to be rational about it and objective. And when I was thinking about it, I said, would I buy this now? Knowing, after researching, coming into a new cycle, because my thoughts were, this cycle, the narratives of this cycle are going to be different from the narratives of last cycle. One. Two, I looked at the data. 85% of coins from previous cycles don't reach new all-time highs. And there are reasons for that. So with those two pieces of information in mind, I asked myself, would I buy it right now? And the answer was no, right? And so you can't marry altcoins. It was hard pulling away, because also my, channel, my identity, in terms of being entrenched in a community, we're attached to it. And so it's hard to then shift, because you feel like, now people aren't going to tune in now, whatever. But you have to, at the end of the day, I had to make a decision for my finances. And I still root for it. I still want it to go up. Still want it to 10, 20, 30x from here. But, I had to allocate my money in the place where I thought it would do the best. What are you going to be using to off-road your fiat? Also, don't have a VPN. I do have a VPN. So I use a VPN I use is PIA VPN. In order to off-road to fiat, I can only off-road through Coinbase. So there's that. But I'm not going to off-road. I'm going to keep stuff in stables also, right? So I'm going to move. The idea after this cycle is, a lot of people think also, this is it. This is the end. This is the end of this cycle. There's another cycle that's going to start after this, right? Bitcoin's going to do its thing. It's going to bottom out. And then there'll be, I don't think that this is the last alt cycle. I think we'll be buying alts again in the future. And so this is just the end of the cycle. And so the idea is to walk away and come back to fight another day with a bigger stack, right? So I'll be taking what I need to fiat. I'll be sitting on stables, looking to rotate back into Bitcoin. Because again, I don't care that institutions are in. Until the cycle is broken, I'm anticipating. Look, this is December of 2018. Bitcoin was $3,000. It went up for 3 years. November of 2022, Bitcoin hit 15.8. We're in the third year of the uptrend. Nothing goes up forever. There will be a correction. And you have to then think about getting back into Bitcoin, right? That's my goal, is to, wait for Bitcoin to top out, then sit on my hands, wait for signals of a bottom, and then go into Bitcoin and ride it up, and then see what the space looks like on alts, and then run it again, right? But next time, if you play this cycle right, you're going to come back for next cycle even, in a better position. And you'll also be wiser and have the benefit of, the experience of this cycle. Yeah. I mean, the other thing is a lot of these coins that I'm in, I've held now for a year. So if you're held for a year, depending on where you are, where I am, the long-term capital gains tax is 15% as opposed to, income tax. I can't link it, but if it's, in the app store, I don't know if you have, I have an Apple phone. So just look up, I'm going to put it in the comments, PIA is the app that I use. But that wraps up this stream. Just wanted to give some updated thoughts on when I'm going to sell. Next, I'll be back probably on Saturday, and I'll have a DCA strategy for profit taking, and we'll look at some numbers. And I think the most important thing that we can do right now, besides just getting our positions set, is think of an exit strategy, because you can't do it in the midst of being, euphoric and emotional and all that stuff. You got to think about it beforehand, and this way you're ready. So I want to thank everyone for coming through. Once again, hit the like button, subscribe on your way out, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.